A high fantasy novel from the early 1970s, Red Moon and Black Mountain exists in a middle ground between Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, Lloyd Alexander's Chronicles of Prydain, and the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Three English siblings, Oliver, Nicholas, and Penny, are out playing and riding their bikes when, in crossing into a meadow, they find themselves transported to Vanderai, a fantasy world where various peoples are preparing for the return of the dark sorcerer Fendarl, who will pursue in his attempt to conquer the cities and tribes that oppose him, to steal their magic powers, and prove his immortality. The children are separated during their supernatural trip. Oliver ends up among the Centaurs, a semi-nomadic people of the plains, who ride unicorns, live by hunting, and maintain a robust warrior culture. Through reasons not entirely explained, Oliver arrives among them a significant amount of time before his brother and sister arrive in Vanderai, so he grows into adulthood among them, adopts a new name and their customs, and even forgets portions of his old life. Penny and Nicholas, meanwhile, end up in the retinue of Inserina, a princess and star wizard who uses her arcane power to assist intelligent eagles fighting in the first skirmish against the forces of the Black Mountain. Even these two are separated, however, when Fendarl's minions take Inserina and Penny hostage, but Nicholas escapes, eventually falling in with Feyfolk and a vagabond wizard who calls himself Borderer. Their three plot lines converge as forces are arrayed against Fendarl, and the prophesied battle for mastery over the lands of Vanderai are set in motion. I had heard of Joy Chant, but I had not read any of her stories previously. While I can't be certain, I believe her books were available when I started reading fantasy, but for whatever reason, I didn't pick up her novels. I must have been too busy reading lone wolf books. In many ways, this story is a more internally cohesive version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Narnia was weird and could be fun, but it's no secret that the world was wildly inconsistent. As presented in Chant's novel, Vanderai feels more fleshed out and realized, with a different culture, types of magic, supernatural beings, and a geography that all hangs together, more or less. A related development that I also found interesting is that the roots of the setting aren't really the fantastical medieval Europe that is often the default backdrop to many fantasy novels. Instead, many of the cultures have a Bronze Age feel to them, and the Centaurs read more like nomadic people of the steppe. Red Moon and Black Mountain is lyrical in its prose styling. Chant isn't going for realism or naturalism. She's telling a fantastical tale and using poetic and descriptive language to do so. This choice certainly helps maintain the novel's tone and feeling more like folklore or myth. And this technique certainly puts her at odds with a lot of contemporary fantasy writers. I'm not saying this as a negative criticism, but I do want readers to know what to expect. Having three different plot lines means we do get to see different characters and locations, which can be fun, and there's always something happening in at least one of the storylines. I hesitate to call Oliver, Nicholas, and Penny all protagonists because they are, at different times and to different degrees, more passengers or captives of the story than they are active participants. Sometimes it can feel like they are more audience surrogates, meant to elicit exposition, than they are characters with any agency. Frequent visitors to this channel might know I'm not really a fan of portal fantasy or isekai, and in this regard, Red Moon and Black Mountain doesn't thrill me. So many children in the United Kingdom and Japan have traveled through portals to mystical places that you'd think they'd have a support group, or at least some PSAs about it. Thematically, the book touches on several ideas, but it doesn't plunge deeply into most of them. There are questions about the nature and limits of power, magical, political, social, etc. There is also the concept of duty owed to one's nation or people, particularly in regards to one's status. There are a few times when the book strongly suggests that much is expected from those to whom much has been given, and it's seen most clearly with the characters of vaunted lineage and connection to star magic. Similarly, there is an exploration of the justification for, and lingering effects of, use of violence, even to achieve positive goals. Perhaps most prominent is the theme of believing prophecy is more important than if the ability to foretell the future is even real. Red Moon and Black Mountain has this in common with Game of Thrones. There is a good bit in this book about reading the stars and the two moons, how that governs aspects of the world, and characters make decisions based on their interpretation of certain prophecies. This aspect of the novel culminates in an absolutely wild sequence around the climax where, for lack of a more precise description, a character almost by accident has a psychedelic divine experience. This quasi-theophany is a radical turning point in the book, and the last 50 pages or so are significantly different in tone than what came before them, and to my mind is the best part of the book. It delves into grief, weariness, sacrifice, and questioning what it means to have victory. These philosophical ruminations give the story an unexpected additional weight that I found intriguing. But what are your thoughts about Red Moon and Black Mountain? What aspects of the novel did you find most enjoyable, or the most disagreeable? Is the last fifth of the book too meditative for your tastes? Should this story be more highly regarded among fantasy novels? Let me know in the comments. Next in the box of paperbacks is another novel by Joy Chant, The Grey Mane of Morning, which is a kind of prequel to Red Moon and Black Mountain that she wrote several years later. We'll see if this one is less ill-fated than many prequels seem to be. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate this channel and want to support it, you know what to do. You can also take a moment to like, comment, share, or subscribe to the channel of another YouTube creator you enjoy, because those actions are what prevent the algorithm from sending videos into a mystic portal with little hope of return. Until next time, read some good books, live, and be well.